I'm Richard Dodd, and you're listening to the Ecology Academy podcast. This is a show where we get to talk and learn about all things ecological, including interviews with top ecologists, both employers and employees, those working with ecologists, and also aspiring and inspiring career-seeking individuals setting out to make a difference. The show aims to provide you with insights, advice, and inspiration to help you succeed and excel as an effective ecologist and to make a real difference to our natural environment. Hello and welcome back to the Ecology Academy podcast. Summer has finally arrived. Woohoo! And most of us now are in full swing in our ecological surveys, undertaking ecological surveys, and monitoring and helping our clients deliver great projects across the United Kingdom and elsewhere if you're a multinational company too. So if you are from a different outside the UK, you're very much welcome to listen into our conversations. We are primarily focused upon the UK, and just in case you are new, my name is Richard Dodd. I'm the host of the Ecology Academy podcast. Now, if it is new, you are new to this podcast, there are plenty of episodes for you to go back and listen to. We've got stuff on biodiversity again. We've got information about data and how to obtain that, and how to manage data, why data and statistics are important. We've got information about the BTO acoustic pipeline. We've got a whole host of back talks about back training. And the last series we had was about great crested newts, about surveying for great crested newts, and more importantly, about mitigation licenses. Now, this month, we are going to introduce to you about the Ecological Clerk of Works, what it is, what the roles and responsibilities are, a little bit about training, about how to get those skills and attributes that you need, the knowledge, the experience, and confidence in order to deliver successful outcomes for both your clients and, of course, for the natural environment. So, as I say, this month is about an introductory to the Ecological Clerk of Works. Over the next month, we are going to invite some interviewees, should I say, into our realm and discuss with them their experience, their tips, their knowledge, how they approach Ecological Clerk of Works, what to do, what not to do as well. Because let's face it, some of us have been thrown and thrust into this role of an Ecological Clerk of Works with very little training, and that's detrimental to both ourselves, to our companies, if we're working for a company, and also to the natural environment. Others have got oodles of training and support, and that's where we are aiming for, to ensure that we can deliver those successful outcomes. So enough of the waffle, let's get straight into the program. Okay, so what is an Ecological Clerk of Work? Well, it's a crucial role to ensure that the construction and development projects usually comply with environmental legislation and minimise their impact upon wildlife and habitats. So you, as the Ecological Clerk of Work, what is your responsibility? Well, it's going to include a variety of different things. So it's monitoring, it's advising, and implementing ecological mitigation measures. So there it is in a nutshell: monitoring, advising, and implementing ecological measures. And of course, one of the major elements of that would have missed out is clearly supervision. So we know that advising, implementing ecological measures, a lot of that's going to be done under, you will be the supervisor, the main contact on the site. So you can see that it's a huge amount of responsibility that you will be given, and authority to actually ensure that the project is delivered successfully. So let's look at some of the key responsibilities. First of all, of course, site monitoring. You're going to a site and you're going to undertake some sort of monitoring. Now, that could be daily monitoring. So these are, you go into site it could be every day during the working week, or it could be even 7 days a week, that you're out there undertaking the site inspections, site audits. It could be, you may be moving animals about, looking at habitat, doing different auditory audits, shall we say. So it could be focused on one particular site, one particular habitat, or one particular species, or it's a whole range of things, looking at different things on a daily basis. Clearly then there's the weekly, monthly, quarterly, ad hoc checks as well. There's a difference with the site monitoring. So it could, and it's not just the daily ones. It could be over a period of time. So those are the two. That's the site monitoring parts there. There's the implementation of mitigation measures. Of course, to deliver successful outcomes for both the client and for the natural environment, we need to ensure that they are implemented successfully. So this is looking at, first of all, the implementation of these, making sure that we know where they're going, how they're going in, what the responsibilities are of the individual, you as the Ecological Clerk of Work, your client, the contractors, any other stakeholder involved there. So it's implementation, making sure, and of course, getting the information of where these measures are going is going to be extremely important. Are the right tools there? So there's protective measures. Are you going to be overseeing the installation of maintenance or protective measures such as exclusion fences, buffer zones, habitat protection areas? Are you putting up bat boxes and things like this? And there's, of course, species relocation, so supervising the capture and relocation of protected species under license. So we'll come on to a little bit about those areas, compliance legislation and so forth a bit later on. But yeah, making sure you've got the licenses in place. You are able to translocate the animals if you're translocating an animal or the plant itself to the right location. You know where that location is, so you've got the plans and you've got the people there who know where things are going, and you've informed them. So yeah, implementation of mitigation measures is going to be crucial to your duties. Equally so, there is an element, of course, of compliance and legislation. So the regulatory compliance, ensuring that all the site activities comply with relevant environmental legislation and the planning conditions if they are relevant to your site. So it's making sure that your client and other stakeholders are complying with legislation. Also checking permits and licenses. So as we mentioned before about species licenses, have you got the licenses in place? Are there any other licenses that need to be in place in order for you to be on site as well? So you need to verify that the necessary permits and licenses are in place for activities that, as I say, may impact upon protected habitats or species. So that's about the compliance and legislation. We can spend the whole episode talking about that. Of course, there's communication and liaison part as well. And I think this is going to be the key to a successful ecological clerk of work, is the communication skills, both from you and from those who you're interacting with. Now, communication skills can clearly be the verbal. You're on site, talking to the site contractor, talking to other contractors, delivering those talks, relaying information back to the clients or to the contractor about any issues arising, and equally so saying, well done, great job. Everything's in place. I'm really happy. Boom, ticked it all off. Okay. So communication is going to be key. Having the right conversation at the right time with the right amount of information. So the stakeholder engagement is going to be really crucial here. So you're going to act as a liaison between the construction team, more than likely, developers, local authorities. There's the statutory nature conservation organisations and other stakeholders, such as it could be, your architect, as I say, or other landscape architects, making sure that anything is delivered on time. By the way, I'm talking about an ideal world here. There's a lot of things during this communication part that we know does go wrong. And I say having strong communication skills is really quite crucial. Advisory role. So on site, there may be some things that may not go to plan. I mean, let's put it this way. I can probably count on one hand the number of sites we've been to where everything has gone to plan. Vast majority of the time, things do change. It can change even just like the site, the day you're turning up on site. It could be that the materials haven't arrived. It could be that, the back boxes aren't in place or they're in the wrong area. So there's a lot of delays. You need to advise, okay, well, that's the wrong place. We need to go over there. Okay, I'm going to be coming next week to do this. And, advisory role is extremely important. So you're providing on-site advice and guidance to the contractors, project managers on the ecological issues and best practices. And I think that's one of the key parts, is to stay in your field, to make sure that you are talking and giving advice on things you are aware of and have knowledge of, that competency level. So we shouldn't be giving advice in areas where we don't have that experience. Of course, then if that you do find yourself in that position, it's clearly going, you need to phone a friend. So, of course, there's reporting and documentation, record keeping. I know, bureaucracy, and, we hear these terms. It's extremely important to maintain detailed records of your site inspection, your visits when you visit, because it's going to be one of those license conditions, for instance, or planning conditions, to keep a record, a diary of on-site, activities. So who attended, what was the reason for your visit, what was the outcome of your visit, what the actions, who were the people responsible for delivering those actions, and by when. So there's a lot of information you need to actually, obtain once you're on site. And that could be start, before you even arrive on site, making sure you've got the relevant documents, inform the people of your site visit. But, as I say, providing evidence may be a requirement at some point. So maintaining detailed records of your site inspections, your observations, and any, key incidents or breaches of those ecological protocols. Reporting, you may have to report back at some point. To either end a license, if it's a protected species license, for instance, monitoring reports to your clients, so may go. And who do they go to? Is it just one? Is it the statutory nature conservation organisation, such as Natural England or Natural Resources Wales, Scottish National Heritage? Or are there other bodies, local authorities? Is it, maybe the local, it could be, the clients want to report themselves. It could be the contractors. So just making sure that you know who the reports are going to and the reasons why. So it's that paper trail or e-trail of what happened actually on site. And of course, the big one here, is training and education. I'm not talking about training and education for ourselves as Ecological Clerk of Works, but I mean to others on site, those who may have little or no ecological knowledge. So it's your toolbox talks. So you're conducting, and what is a toolbox talk? We can get into details about that. Sometimes it's written in a license condition of exactly what you need to cover within your talk, for instance. But other areas are going to be site specific, and so it's conducting training sessions and toolbox talks for construction personnel. It's to raise their awareness about the ecological issues on site and also the mitigation measures that you'll be putting in. So they need to be aware of what's going on site, why you're there, what to do if there's an emergency, those fines on site, for instance, they may discover something, they don't know what to do. You want to reassure them that, right, if you do find something, here's my number, or here's where I'll be on site today, come and get me. Things they should do, and also more importantly, things they probably shouldn't do whilst they're on site. And that, going back to that communication part, that is, remember, you're talking to an audience who probably got, little or no knowledge, and they're clearly a toolbox talk it can be cover health and safety, but more so it's about ensuring that those successful outcomes for the clients, your contractors, other stakeholders, and of course the natural environment, the animal or species, the planet itself. Providing materials. So it could be that you're going to have to not only present presentation could be you just speaking in front of a group of people, or it could be in a site container compound, you giving a presentation that the clients requested, you delivering a little PowerPoint or whatever it is presentation to them, handing out leaflets, distribution of educational materials to ensure that all the workers on site, because if it's, they're not going to all turn up on day one. So you're may have to go there on, periodically to inform the next wave of contractors on site. So handing out that information, understanding their concerns and answering their questions. And it is getting on to, the communication part is crucial there, getting on to sort of their level, really. Problem solving and adaptation. Okay, so problem solving clearly is a big part of what you're going to be doing. Nothing really goes right on site. There's always something that's going to be thrown up at you, and you're there as advisor to solve that problem. Now, you may be able to solve that problem right away. Okay, we got an issue with, we don't know where to put this bat box up, for instance. Okay, that's a relatively easy problem to solve. Whereas we've run out of material, we're going to be delayed works, the contractors aren't here, the pipes burst, it's flooding this ditch, we've actually lost in transit something. So, it's problem solving things in a dynamic situation. Now, you may be able to deal with that, as I say, right on site, but sometimes it may be, okay, well, I don't know about that. Okay, well, I'm going to go and ask, a supervisor. It could be your supervisor or it could be the site supervisor to find out more information before you can provide that competent level of advice. And if it's outside of your experience or control, clearly you're going to have to talk to the right sort of people there. Adaptive management. So this is about adjusting and adapting mitigation measures as necessary. Now, it could be that you said, well, we're going to put up a bat box on a tree, for instance. Well, actually, that tree, when you go on site, this shouldn't happen, but, it does. That tree is unsuitable to host that bat box. Right. Okay. Well, where are we going to put it now? So we may have to adapt our mitigation measures in order to provide that outcome. So that's a very simple adaptive piece of management. But clearly there's also water course changes. There's where we're going to store the site compound, for instance, may not have been where it was on the plan. They're going to move the site compound. Have we undertaken a survey of that site? Is it safe for actually them to put their site compound on there, store the materials? There's lots of different things that you may have to, change whilst you're on site. And again, it comes back to that communication. Have we got the right information? If not, how do we get that? Right. Okay. So those are the sort of things that you'll be probably doing. There's probably others as well. And I say we're getting some other people on here, some great people who undertake a lot of ecological clerk of work duties. They have been very successful in what they do, and we'll hear from those in the next forthcoming months. Well, let's have a look about some of the skills and qualifications you may need in order to deliver a successful outcome. So first of all, clearly there's going to be the technical skills. So this is your ecological knowledge and your surveying techniques. So, making sure you've got the strong understanding of the wildlife you are surveying. So it's in that species, whether it be in an animal or a plant, in the habitats, ecological principles. Okay. Do you know about the life cycle of certain plants, the life cycle of certain wildlife, so animals? Do you know if actually, this translocation will actually work? Hopefully this is covered before you go on site, but it's still part of the leading to that successful outcome. So it's not deliberating actually on site, but this is prior to undertaking your clerk of work duties. You need those skills in order to advise your client and others to demonstrate that the measures you're going to be put in place will actually work. So a strong ecological knowledge, surveying techniques. Okay, you're going to be proficient in ecological surveying and monitoring as well. Monitoring, surveillance, undertaking those activities. Are you competent enough? Do you need to bring other people in? How do you get those people? What other resources do you need, in terms of equipment for monitoring on site, or even before you go on site? What areas are going to be subject to those surveys and things like that. Clearly, regulatory knowledge. You need to know about legislation, planning policy, best practices as well. So legislation, obviously an in-depth and at least a working knowledge of environmental legislation, regulations, planning policies that are relevant to the construction and development sector, but equally so, obviously, for environmental sector too. So, the Environment Act, for instance, that you need to be aware of. And because that's going to help you inform your clients, the contractors on site, and also for you to go, you're seeing something going on site. I don't think that's lawful. What are we going to do about it? Or actually, they can do that. It's not going to impact upon the legislation. It's not going to cause any disturbance. There's nothing that's been damaged or destroyed that's outside of the license, if there's one in place or a permit. So you're happy for that to continue. You're providing the advice. So knowing your legislation, knowing the policies and the conditions of those policies is going to be extremely important to you. Best practices, familiarity with industry best practice for ecological mitigation and habitat management. So keeping up to date with translocation, keeping up to date with mitigation measures, what works, what doesn't work. Again, this may inform your decisions before you go on site, but equally so whilst you're on site doing that adaptive management, for instance. Communication skills, we've covered those already, but clear communication. So how are you going to get that knowledge? How are you going to get that, confidence in order to assist and deliver those successful outcomes? And I think this is the biggest part. We got the species knowledge. We got the regulatory knowledge. We got the practical skills, of undertaking the field work and things like this. But one thing that is really, people struggle with, and I can understand this, is that confidence of, I don't think I'm quite ready. I haven't got enough. And it's one of these drivers. What's your driver? And when I talk about drivers, I'm not talking about golf. I'm talking about, there's some sort of within our child we get formed this, we can get given this script by the age of probably 7 to 8. Where do we sit? Do we seek out perfection because someone's told you, well, if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing well, and you've absorbed that information and going, oh right, well, a job can only be conducted if it's perfect. It's actually, I've got all information, it's going to be delivered successfully for the first time round. And that may influence how you think now. So you're going to go, well, I can't do this job because I don't think I'm going to do it very, very well. And this can hinder us. So coaching, it's putting my coaching hat on, can really help bring out that confidence level. What are your drivers? So being perfect is going to be one. Equally so, another element to it is like, if, again, going back to probably childhood, if you're told, oh, we're going to go to this, we're going to go to this place, we're going to pick this up now, hurry up, get your clothes on, go to school, all that information, all of a sudden you realize that time is extremely important and you tend to rush through things. Hurry up. That's another one in terms of these drivers. And it could be that may influence your actions on site. You may think, okay, well, everything's going to be done really, really quickly, and time is more important than anything else. So you may rush through things, and it may do you well, serve you well. It probably has served you well up until this point. But sometimes, being perfect, speeding things up, expediency can be detrimental. It can be benefit, but it also can be detrimental. So it's knowing your strengths. And overdone strengths is going to be extremely important. And I think coaching can help you with all that stuff. So communication skills is clearly important. Clear communication, effective communication, the ability to convey complex ecological information to non-specialists, including construction workers and project managers. So, you may be able to communicate effectively to your colleagues who know about ecology, but communicating that to someone, I say, with little or no knowledge, is quite challenging. Stakeholder engagement, other areas as well. So experiencing, you need to get experience of liaising with a wide range of stakeholders, developers and regulatory bodies. So, exposure. And this comes with time, really. And of course, as I mentioned about practical skills, obviously your field work needs to be proficient. You got, and if it requires it, a physical capability to conduct that field work in various weather conditions and terrains as well. So, most of us can testify, and I put my hand up now to being a fair weather ecologist. But clearly, if you're on site, you're going to be on site in all weathers. Okay, you need to be prepared for that. So the practical side of these elements. Health and safety is extremely important, making sure that you are, if you're on the site, especially if you're on a building or construction site, this could be, HS2, it could be a building site, it could be, any sort of marine site, working next to water. Are you competent and capable of working within those environments? Do you know what to do in an emergency? Because you will have to learn about emergency procedures on site. So that's making sure that you do know what to do in case you need to evacuate a site. We worked on industrial sites, for instance, steel works, chemical plants, and they take health and safety extremely seriously. And, there is no room for, complacency on those sites. You have to comply with all their regulatory requirements. And, if they say jump, you jump. You're on their site now. Okay. So, and again, the other practical skills, problem solving, making sure that you've got those strong problem solving skills, creativity, for instance, innovation, thinking, I don't like the term, but, thinking outside the box type thing, just as long as it fits within your other areas, regulatory, compliance, and so forth. And of course, how you conduct yourself on site is going to be extremely important. Professionalism should just come naturally to you. So, you're acting professionally on site, you got that integrity. You're not going to go, do you know what? Don't worry about that. Don't bother putting those back boxes up. I'll just check this off. So making sure you got the integrity to actually, because where does that come from? That probably stems from a lack of confidence. Going, I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm just going to go, I'll just tick that off for you. Okay, you carry on. And that's from probably a fear. It's not from you're helping someone out, because there are certain things that need to be done for the compliance area. And, I've heard tales of that happening on site, and it does come back to bite you. So you may think, I've got away with don't have to talk to that person, or don't have to have a nasty conversation with someone, a difficult conversation. You need to have those conversations, I say, because it will help you in the long run. Okay, build up that confidence. If it's your first time of conflict management, and conflict, it sounds bad, but conflict can be anything going, I don't want to do that. And then you telling someone, making them understand and go, right, now I know, that's fine, carry on. So conflict management, it sounds quite scary, but it's dealing with people. So making sure that you're staying up to date with the latest information, research. This is all part of your professional conduct, continuously improving your skills through professional development, and adhering to ethical standards in your work. Okay, so all those. Hopefully that's helped. I say it's just an introduction to the role and responsibilities of an ecological clerk of work, and also some of the skills, traits, behaviour, knowledge you'll need. So I hope that's a whirlwind of information. So do take time to go back and listen to that. But I say next month we're having some guests on who have got a huge range of experience in the ecological clerk of works sort of field, giving you their, I'm sure, horror stories of sites of stuff that's gone wrong, but equally so, majority of the time where stuff has gone right, and the reasons why both things have gone right. What have you done in your prep? Because it's usually your prep work that enables you for a successful delivery, but equally so, it's your attitude whilst you're on site, that helping, solving problems sort of attitude, and what to do, the reasons why things fail as well. Okay, so hope that's been useful to you. Thank you once more for listening to the Ecology Academy podcast. I can't even say it. The Ecology Academy podcast. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I say we'll be back next month, but for now, thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show and want to help, then please click on the subscribe button and rate us on your favourite podcast player, as that's how you can inspire ecologists in the making, help retain great talent, and provide insights of our industry to a much wider audience of why ecology really does matter. Thank you. And remember, learning is a lifelong endeavour, so stay curious, be adventurous, and build bridges for others to cross.